The Washington Post made a decision today to not run their story about Mitt Romney today in the physical newsprint paper edition of the Post. They posted it online, but it will not be in the paper until tomorrow. The Post apparently wanted to avoid juxtaposing their front page print story about President Obama endorsing same-sex couples' right to marry with their new blockbuster story about an 18-year-old Mitt Romney leading a cheering mob that chased down and held down a closeted gay student, and Mr. Romney forcibly holding down that student and cutting off his hair with scissors because Mr. Romney objected to what the boy looked like. Mr. Romney is not disputing that the incident happened back when he was a teenager. In the story, he's quoted as saying, "He can't look like that. That's wrong. Just look at him." Mr. Romney told that to a close friend in his dorm. That friend, a few days later, quote, entered their dorm to find Romney marching out of his own room ahead of a prep school posse, shouting about their plan to cut the younger student's hair. Mr. Romney's friend followed them to a nearby room where they came upon the younger student, tackled him and pinned him to the ground. As the younger student, his eyes filling with tears, screamed for help, Mitt Romney repeatedly clipped his hair with a pair of scissors. One man who is described as having joined Mr. Romney in restraining the boy that they attacked told the Post, quote, "To this day, it troubles me. What a senseless, stupid, idiotic thing to do." A childhood friend of Mr. Romney who saw it all happen that day told the Post, quote, "It was vicious." Even though the incident was confirmed to the Washington Post by 5 different students who were at school with Mr. Romney, his campaign spokesperson initially responded to the story today by saying it was a lie. She said the stories seem exaggerated and off base, and Governor Romney has no memory of participating in these incidents. Mr. Romney himself later said he did not contest that the incidents had happened, but that he didn't remember anything about them. He didn't remember anything about them, but he somehow definitely remembers that he did not think the kid in question who was attacked was gay. Nor did he think that about another closeted kid he is reported to have bullied by shouting "Atta girl" whenever the student would say something in class.
A prank that could have gone on in high school with a guy named John Lauber, who they say that you and a couple of his friends, who this guy was thought to be homosexual, cut his hair, pinned him down and cut his hair. Do you remember any of this?
You know, I don't remember that incident, and I'll tell you, I certainly don't believe that I can't speak for other people, of course, but thought the fellow was homosexual. That was the furthest thing from our minds back in the 1960s. So that was not the case. But as to pranks that were played back then, I don't remember them all. But again, you know, high school days, if I did stupid things, I'm afraid I gotta say sorry for it.
They also point out an incident in English class with this guy, Gary Hummel, who says he was a closeted gay student at the time, and when he would talk out, Mitt Romney, a young Mitt Romney, would yell, "Atta girl." Do you think that happened?
Well, I really can't remember that. You know, there are a lot of times, my guess is at a boys' school where other boys do something and people say, "Hey, atta girl," but as this person indicated, he was closeted. I had no idea that he was gay. I can't speak of that even today. But as to the teasing or the taunts that go on in high school, that's a long time ago. For me, it's about 48 years ago. So again, if there's anything I said that was offensive to someone, I certainly am sorry about that. Very deeply sorry about that.
If you don't remember anything about it, how do you remember that you definitely didn't attack him because he was gay? How do you remember that you definitely didn't think he was gay if you don't remember anything about it? You remember that exculpatory thing, but you remember nothing else? And there's one other thing here. I do not mean to be weird about this, but what is the part of this that is so funny?
Do you remember any of this?
You know, I don't remember that incident.
A young Mitt Romney would yell, "Atta girl." Do you think that happened?
Well, I really can't remember that. Again, if there's anything I said that was offensive to someone, I certainly am sorry.
Nobody is laughing with him here. It's not like everybody involved is laughing in the conversation. He's just laughing alone. He was like this about the dog thing, too. Do you remember?
I have a yellow lab named Winston. I would no sooner put him in a kennel on the roof of my car than I would one of my children. Question. What were you thinking?
This is a completely airtight kennel and mounted on the top of our car. He climbed up there regularly, enjoyed himself. He was in a kennel at home a great deal of time as well. We loved the dog. It was where he was comfortable. We had 5 kids inside the car. My guess is he liked it a lot better in his kennel than he would have liked it inside.
Well, I got to tell you, Massachusetts law and dog lovers, and I'm one of them, take this seriously. Massachusetts law prohibits carrying an animal on top of a car, even in a kennel, as cruel and inhuman. Do you really think you did nothing wrong?
I wasn't familiar with that in terms of Massachusetts law. Love my dog. We've had a lot of dogs over the years.
Mr. Romney thought this too was hilarious. The interviewer there from Fox actually has to insist, seriously, Governor, seriously. Nobody else is laughing in this conversation. This is kind of creepy. Can we be serious about this? Remember the humorous story Mr. Romney volunteered when he was campaigning in the Midwest this year?
I have a few connections with the state of Wisconsin. One of the most humorous, I think, relates to my father. You may remember that my father, George Romney, was president of an automobile company called American Motors. As the president of the company, he decided to close the factory in Michigan and move all the production to Wisconsin.
Remember, this is what he is volunteering as a humorous story about his dad closing down a factory in Michigan.
They had a high school band that was leading each of the candidates, and his band did not know how to play the Michigan fight song. It only knew how to play the Wisconsin fight song. So every time they would start playing on Wisconsin, my dad's political people would jump up and down and try and get them to stop because they didn't want people in Michigan to be reminded that my dad had moved production to Wisconsin.
Which is hilarious, right? See, the punchline here is about shutting down the factory and putting all those people out of work in Michigan and those people being angry about it. See, it's hilarious.
My dad had moved production to Wisconsin.
Again, if there's anything I said that was offensive.
What were you thinking?
Do you remember any of this?
You know, I don't remember.
A young Mitt Romney would yell, "Atta girl." Do you think that happened?
Well, I really can't remember that.
Mitt Romney, Republican presidential de facto nominee, gets asked a question about a disturbing character issue. Hilarity ensues for him. Get it?